Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us today for our How to Create a Successful Email. Just a couple things before we get started with the webinar. This is about 45 minutes long, and at the end we will do Q&A. So if you think of questions along the way, go ahead and type those into the box that you see in your GoToWebinar window, and we'll be more than happy to answer as many of those as we can at the end. One of the most popular questions that we get is this being recorded? And the answer is yes. We usually, but not always, usually record our webinars so that people can access the information later. So look for that next week on our help site. If you go to help.verticalresponse.com and then click on webinars, you can find our recorded webinars. So today is me. My name is Jill Bastian, and with me is Brendan Hill, and we're going to take you through different steps for creating an email that's successful for both you and for your recipients. We have lots of examples as well. Most of our customers enjoy seeing a lot of examples. So along the way, we'll show you examples of emails that display some of the things that we're going to talk about. So with that, I'm going to hand this over to Brendan.
All right. First, we're just going to talk about the things we're going to talk about, and then we'll dig deeper. The agenda is first is why have an email. So, why create emails, why send them out, why that can help your business. Then we're going to talk about keys to a successful email. So what specific tips in terms of content, in terms of formatting, things like that, what can make a really successful email. We also have some design tips as well to make it look nice, make it eye-catching. And also what you can learn from your newsletter in terms of reporting, in terms of ways you can interact with your customers or your recipients, gauge how they're kind of interacting with you. And we'll finish up with some resources as well, like our help site and things like that. All right. First, why have an email? So why do email marketing? So the first is emails help you build relationships, retention, and loyalty. So people like buying from other people, and people like knowing that they're dealing with actual people as opposed to some big corporate machine. So you can use your email newsletters to help engage your customers and build relationships and maintain them. Emails also give you an excuse to talk about your company. So letting them know about anything that might be happening, not just necessarily sales and things like that, but things that are going on in the office or things that are happening as a company overall, and keeping your company as a topic of interest to your recipients. Same thing with staying in front of your audience. By mailing at least once per month, your company will stay in your recipient's mind so that when they ever need to do anything or purchase something that you offer, they'll think of you first. These next two kind of go together. Educate and entertain, and establish yourself as an expert. You are the expert in your product. You know it better than anybody else. So including bits of educational or entertainment bits that relate to your business is a great way to reach out to your customers, because then they see you as an expert, and then they can learn. And again, that's a way that you can talk about your product or your company. And of course, obviously, you're going to want to sell products and services, offer sales, things like that.
So the next few steps that we're going to go through in the next few slides, we're going to talk about some of the keys to creating a successful newsletter and some of the things that you need to pay attention when you're setting up your email. So we're going to go through from label, subject line, and pre-header. We have lots of content ideas. A lot of people get stuck there once they get started with the idea of an email. So we have a lot of content ideas for you. We're going to talk about call to action. And we're also going to talk about including images in your emails.
Okay, first off, we have the from label. Now this is, as it says, let your audience know who you are. So this is going to be the name that appears when the email arrives in the inbox. You can see in the screenshot we have the from labels on the left-hand side, excuse me, and you can see examples of those. You want to be consistent. We generally tend to recommend using your company name as the from label, as people are more likely to recognize the company name as opposed to a specific person. This can vary. For example, real estate agents, their sort of name is their company name, so that certainly makes sense for them to use their first name or their full name. But whatever you choose, you want to be consistent so that people, when they consistently get emails from you, they see it's from Salesforce.com or DMA seminars, and they know who that is, and then that they know what to expect. And then we have the subject line. So along with the from label, the subject line is really the key thing that you need to get people to open your email, because the subject line is essentially your headline, as if it was a newspaper, to help you stand out in the inbox. So what you want to do is stick to about 40 to 50 characters. Most email systems, as you can kind of see in our screenshot, will eventually truncate subject lines beyond 40 to 50 characters. And also make sure you let people know what to expect. It's actually against the canned spam law to have misleading subject lines. So if you say, free iPad in your subject line and you're really talking about sushi, that is illegal and not a good practice anyway. And also don't repeat your from label. So as you can see here again, the from label is the company. You don't need to waste your valuable characters with saying your from label again. Just get right into it with something like, spring savings or up to 50% off, or don't miss these new Halloween deals, things like that. And also be sure not to use all caps or excessive punctuation like exclamation points. And we have a couple examples there of, just kind of 100% free. That's never a good idea, because spam filters will look for that and will flag your email.
And caps is considered yelling online, so you certainly want to try to avoid yelling at your customers.
Okay, and another thing you can use is pre-header text. Now what pre-header text is, can act as a message that is a supplement to your subject line. What happens is when emails arrive in inboxes, there'll be the subject line, and the first text that is found in the body of the email will appear after the subject line. So again, as you see our image here, on the far left we have the from line, or the from label, which is in this case the NFL shop. We have the subject line, and then we have the pre-header text, which is after it on the far right. Now this example is the subject line and the pre-header are kind of similar. We sort of would suggest that the two are different, because again, you don't want to be redundant. You have this valuable kind of real estate. You want to make sure you take advantage of it.
In this one, they probably could have had the subject line as it is, and then maybe test either a link to their website in the pre-header text, or maybe including free shipping, or if there's a promo code, you could test a promo code, or maybe call out a specific product that they were showing in the email to help supplement what the subject line already says.
Exactly, and again, all of these are designed or for your benefit to get your customers to open the email. And a quick note is that we have in the subject line it says main CTA. Again, that means call to action. So that's, again, getting them to take an action, save 15%, click here, that sort of thing. All right, now we've got some examples of pre-header text and how it looks in the actual body of the email. So this particular example from William Sonoma, we opened it up in Gmail. And so at the top, you see the subject line, and you have the from label, the from line. It says William Sonoma. And then, as you can see, the first bit of text in the email is the pre-header. So it says, soups on, meet the Cuisinart that sautés, cooks, and blends. So again, that's a great call to action. So your subject line's introducing the product, and then you're sort of bringing more information about it, because this particular email is just about this soups on sautéer. I'm not a cooking expert. But anyway, it's doing a great job of, in the subject line, calling out how much you're saving, save $165, and then getting into more detail about what the product does in the pre-header so that you'll open the email.
They also do a good job of including a link in their pre-header. Since this is the very first piece of information that your recipients are seeing, it's great to include a link in the pre-header text, because it's a pretty easy place for people to be clicking on, and since it's going to be in the primary piece of the email that they're going to see when they first open it, it's a great way to drive people to your website to do whatever you're trying to get them to do.
All right, now we'll talk about content, sort of the basics right now. So now that you've sucked your customers in with a good from label, a good subject line, and good pre-header. Now, what do you do for the actual content? So again, you want to keep readers coming back for more. So make sure, again, you have content that's relevant to what your recipients have signed up for. You know, if you're a bakery, you probably want to keep it to food-related type things, or things that people that would be interested in a bakery would be interested in. Try to keep it to around 3 to 5 topics or articles in your newsletter. Unlike a regular newspaper, people don't have time and don't have the patience to constantly scroll through, pages and pages of articles and things like that. If you have 6 to 8 articles that are all really lengthy, chances are most people aren't even going to get all the way down to the bottom. So you want to keep those, again, between 3 to 5, and try to keep them short. So again, to keep your readers' attentions, and also keeping them sort of narrow and focused. Include lots of links. As Jill said, linking them to your website, to a certain product, is really just a great thing to do. Especially, obviously, if you're offering a sale, you want people to get to your website so that they can make a purchase, and then you can make the sale. And then do this multiple times, because if they're kind of scrolling all over the page and they don't know where to look, having multiple links so they can just easily click essentially anywhere and get to where you want them to go can be a great thing. You also want to personalize your message. See, we've got the hello first name thing. People love the personal touch. And then assisting in scanning. So, bolding headlines, links help stand out as well because they get highlighted blue. Also, bullets and white space. All these things can help people, can direct their eyes. So if they're just kind of blankly looking at the page, they can see, the top is a paragraph, and there's some bullets here, I should look there, and then there's a bolded header, I should look there. All those things can help keep your recipient's attention on your email. All right, actual content ideas. So what's your business up to? For example, for us, we at Vertical Response, we recently moved offices. So in a lot of our newsletters, we would talk about that. We would talk about how exciting it was, getting a new start in a new place, that sort of thing. And then that can easily lead into talking about the company and talking about products or whatever, again, you're offering. Testimonials are definitely really important, or a really great tool. People love hearing what other people are saying about your company. So including those in an email can be great. And also, it's like, if you're featuring a happy customer, that customer is really going to love being in an email. And again, as I said, the rest of the recipients are going to love seeing that. Promote webinars. So if this applies to your business, what we're doing right now, any kind of, again, promote yourself as the expert, having webinars to explain things, to go over elements of the product, and by having those and then promoting them in an email, again, gives other great content that you could fill it up with. Holidays, of course, with not just sort of bank holidays and government holidays, but any kind of holiday. You can even sort of make up a holiday. I guess it's technically a holiday. We don't get it off. Certainly, there's things like National Talk like a Pirate Day and things like that are, you just Wikipedia that. There's plenty of things out there, and you can just kind of use any of those to your advantage to promote.
My favorite example that I talk about all the time when I talk about holidays is, especially now this time of year, there's quite a few holidays that are coming up, as I'm sure you're all very much aware. But maybe your business or service that you provide doesn't exactly fall into something that's coming up. Maybe you're a plumber and Valentine's Day isn't exactly your holiday, although having your plumbing go out on Valentine's Day, not romantic. But one of the things you can do is create your own holiday. And one of my favorite examples is the NFL shop. You saw that I also had a screenshot of the from label earlier. I like football. And last year during the NFL draft, they sent out a special email. Now, the NFL draft is especially not a holiday as far as I know. But to play up something for their business, and certainly for the NFL shop, since the springtime isn't really football season, they don't really have a lot of reasons to send emails other than just trying to keep people reminded that they're there for when the fall rolls around. But on the NFL draft day, they sent out a special email. They were having a special sale, and they crafted the email to look like I was a coach and I was on the clock to pick my next team player. But instead of picking a player, I got to pick what my discount was. So I could get $15 off of or 15% off my purchase. I could get $25 off a $100 purchase, or I could get free shipping. So it was really fun how they tied that into how the NFL draft works and created their own type of holiday sale. So again, it wasn't a real holiday, but it certainly was really effective what they came up with. So you could probably find something like that that will work with your business or service that you offer, where maybe it isn't an official holiday, but something will work to your advantage, and you can certainly use that in your email.
Yeah, that can be kind of a great, fun way to be creative and again interact in a kind of a fun way with your recipients.
Well, and it's been over a year. I still remember that
Yeah,
email, so.
it was a good one. Next, we have social media. So in a similar kind of vein, using social media to again interact with your recipients is great. And so mentioning in an email that, oh, go ahead and go like our Facebook page, and then we'll give you a discount for anybody that likes the page. There's a good example of a bakery around here that did that, asked people to go like their page, and if they did that, they'd get a coupon for a free cookie. So that's, everyone loves free cookies. So having
And
that,
their free cookies are really good.
yes. So again, having that kind of fun interaction, and of course mentioning that in the email gives you another thing to talk about. And also we have questions and surveys. Again, keep talking about engaging your audience, getting their feedback, getting them to respond. Interacting that way can again really be a great tool. Also, including a link for a good cause. Um, we've done this in the past as well. Links to donate to the Red Cross or certain other organizations like that. It feels good to you, and your recipients, will have that sort of good faith that you're a company that you're focused on business, but you're also caring about other things in the world. So that can be a nice thing to do. And email is a great way to quickly do it. If something happens, I think we had a lot of emails go through our system when the tsunami, earthquake situation in Japan. A lot of people kind of using our system through that, and because email can be so quick, you can just get things together and quickly link people to donate and things like that. Of course, special offers, any kind of special deal you're having, great to use in an email. You or your employee's smiling face. Again, similar to a testimonial, putting an actual, fun smiling face on your company. Again, a great thing for people to see. And we got tips or ideas for your customers. Again, similar to webinars, any kind of suggestions that you can make for them to clear up anything or to use, for any business-to-business relationships, especially, like we're doing here. Any kind of tips to, to use the product or to use the service can be great. You can brag about awards that you've won or anytime you were featured in articles and things like that, and just related articles, not necessarily anything that you're involved in, but similar, things that relate to your business or your type of business. If you're a banker and you're emailing about, this, or you put an article in there that was something about the economy, that kind of thing is definitely relevant, and your readers would probably want to see that. All right, now we've got some examples of emails.
Some of the things we talked about.
Yes. So first we have, this one's got a great table of contents on the right-hand side, the thing we've circled. So they've got a few articles, a few pieces in this newsletter. Some of it's cut off at the bottom, but table of contents is a great way to let people know what is in the newsletter. And basically what's done here is they've linked each of those bits to those parts of the email, so that if someone jumps in, they can take a look and, oh, I just click on Investors Circle Win and jump, and they automatically get moved down to that. That can be a really great tool. Also a great use of the intermission section in the middle, using a social sharing feature. It visually breaks up the email between the two sort of text sections, and again, that can be, again, a great visual way, and of course getting them to interact, on Facebook, Twitter, or LinkedIn.
And another thing to note is that the top part of your email is the most important piece because that's what people see when they first open it, and especially if they're looking in a preview pane, which we're going to talk about a little bit later on. Before they start scrolling is called above the fold, which is actually a newspaper term, but it's been applied to online things. So the most important piece of information for your email should be at the top because this is what they're going to interact with first and spend more time looking at that, which is why having a table of contents at the top is pretty crucial for a longer email. This way, the people who only are looking at the top can also see additional articles that might interest them, and they can jump down to the rest of the email, and that way they can interact with more of your email than just at the top.
Okay. Here's a good example of related articles like we were just talking about. What they've done is like for example, the first one we have, "Are you a good leader?" from Fortune magazine. So they're citing where the article's from. That's always a good idea to do.
Important.
Yes. And then they're just saying, "Click here to read more." So having maybe a little blurb about it, and then leading away. So you're not filling up your email with extra content when you can quite easily link to an outside source if they want to read that sort of thing. All right, this is a good example of not a made-up holiday, but not not an official holiday. This is talking about Teacher Appreciation Week. This particular company is a company that helps parents of children with disabilities. Now they're not teachers, but they thought of a good way to kind of interact with the Teacher Appreciation Week, whereas they sent out this email to honor teachers, or giving their students a chance to honor the teachers with a certificate, from the students or from the parents. One quick improvement we might suggest is having a very clear call to action here. They have a great image, they have well broken up text with bullets and things like that, but it's a little, they do say please email this person, but having a nice, like maybe a button or having please email here a little bit later in the email might
or
help
some more
out.
links too. I would suggest some more links. They could link to their website in there.
Mm-hmm. So here are some testimonials. So this is a email from a brewery that offers tours, and what they have here is just a newsletter about their tours and about people talking about how much they like their tours. So not only do you have quotes from people, but you also have their photo is of people actually at the tour, and again, people just love seeing real people either interacting or having that sort of real face. Again, on your company. Obviously, these people don't work for your company, but they're there, and they can see kind of what, how happy they are.
Yeah. Happy people at your company are a great testimonial all on their own, and then they also have the quotes at the bottom. And then one of the things I also really love about this particular newsletter is the social sharing buttons that they created. Yes. I'm not saying that you have to go and create your own, but I love that they did bottle caps to tie into what their company does.
Yeah, here's another testimonial email. They do a nice job visually of breaking up each testimonial into the little, speaking clouds. You can't see it, but this email also has a great call to action where it is encouraging people to write a review and actually get free products on orders for $35 or more. So again, that's a nice dual use of content ideas, taking the testimonial and then throwing in, if you do a testimonial, we'll give you a discount, and again, getting people to interact. Another pseudo holiday thing. This one is cute. It's about birthdays for dogs. So this is using personalization. So as you can see at the top, they have dear, dog name, birthday dog. So what they clearly have in their list information, they have dog name, for their customers, pets, and they're essentially addressing this email to the dog, which again is for their particular business. It's just a cute, great way to again interact in a fun-loving way with your customers and their dogs.
So this is an example of a couple of things. First of all, Again, the important piece of information is at the top of this email where the people who are looking in a preview pane will see it. The subject line of this was about fall dinner parties, which is why that content is there. And then on the right-hand side, we were talking about cause marketing a little bit earlier as things that you can include in your email. And this particular company has included for October, which is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, if you buy 2 bottles of their pink champagne, they will make a donation to the National Breast Cancer Foundation. So it's a great way for them to tie in one of their products to a cause and help drive donations to a nice cause as well. This one is one of my favorite examples. I use this company's emails all the time. So you might have seen this if you've been to another one of my webinars. But they do a couple of things in their email really, really well. So first of all, it's broken up into easy-to-read chunks, and that was something that we talked about earlier. Another thing, and we're going to talk about this a little bit more soon, but another thing is that they have images, but it isn't all images in the email. So even if the person who receives this email is blocking images, all the important information is in text. A couple other things, they're doing some personalization really well. They're addressing the email to the recipient, and then on the top left-hand side, you can see where they're merging in loyalty points. So they have a loyalty program, and they're merging in how many points each customer has when they're sending out their email. And it's at the top, so as people are scrolling through the email, they can keep in mind how many loyalty points they have, how many they could use on their next purchase, or how many they'll get if they make a purchase, because they include that as part of the information here. So it's a great way for them to keep people thinking about making purchases of their wine because they can add more things to their loyalty points. Another wine one, I know we seem to have a lot of winery examples, or beers. This is one of my favorite examples of emails where people are definitely thinking outside of the box. So this is a company that sells wine, and what they did during Girl Scout cookie season, you may not know that's a season, but it is they paired wine with popular Girl Scout cookies. Very fun. I'm sure a lot of people don't know what wines to drink with their favorite Girl Scout cookies, so they've got some suggestions here. Another thing that they did, besides the really fun Girl Scout cookie images, is in the top right-hand corner they have a survey. And again, it's another way for you to keep your recipients really engaged in what's going on with your company and engaged with your company in general, is by asking them questions. So it's kind of fun to do this through email. You could also include this type of information on Facebook or Twitter to help keep them engaged in social media as well. And this is something that's asking a specific question, but you could pose all kinds of things like frequently asked questions that you might have, or you can ask questions of your recipients as well. So we did talk a little bit about including social media in your email as some of the content ideas, and this company included a couple of things. So the email isn't only about social media. The top image talks about Earth Day, and for all new Facebook fans that they got on Earth Day, they planted a tree, which is great, again, giving back to their community. Also enticing people to find them on Facebook. And then underneath that, they talk a little bit about what they're doing, and then they're including some of their products as well. So they're kind of blending, encouraging people to find them on Facebook or Twitter, as well as including just the normal information they'd include in their email. So call to action, we mentioned this a little bit, but basically the call to action is what you're trying to get your recipient to do. Generally speaking, your email, you're trying to get them to do something. It could be you're trying to get them to make a purchase. Maybe you're a nonprofit and you're trying to get people to make a donation. Maybe you're trying to get them to sign up for a webinar or download a white paper. Whatever the purpose of the email is, whatever you're trying to get them to do, that's the call to action. So you want the call to action to be really clear and concise. You don't want it to be confusing to your recipients. You want them to know exactly what they're supposed to do. Click here to learn more. Read more now. Register today. Whatever you're trying to get people to do, make your call to action really easy for them to understand what's going on. Since you're usually linking to another page from your email, make sure when you're setting up your links, especially for your call to action, that you're sending people where they expect to go. So if you're telling them information about a specific product, send them to that product page on your website. Don't just drop them at your home page and expect them to find the information, because you're going to lose them. Again, if you want them to sign up for an event that you're hosting, send them to the event sign up page. Don't send them anywhere else. Using a call to action can increase your click-throughs. It can also increase sales because you're telling people what they need to do. One of the things we talk about a lot is using call to action buttons. And if you go to our website, buttons.verticalresponse.com, you can make your own call to action buttons, and we're going to see some buttons in the next couple of emails. But using a call to action button can also have your call to action stand out because buttons are very, very noticeable. So let's go take a look at some of those things. So this email has a couple of call to action buttons. Actually, the tan colored areas are the buttons. So there's one at the top, or kind of near the top, that says explore our exclusive selection of gourmet coffee. And then they have some specific coffee at the bottom, and then each one says click here to learn more. So that's the call to action. Click here to learn more, and then they'll go to the page where they can learn about that particular type of coffee and make a purchase if that's what they want to get. The one thing on this email that I would recommend that you not do when you're creating your email is using a dark background like that. It's and on your website as well. It's really hard on the eyes to have to read light text on a dark background. And after a while, your recipients will get tired of looking at that. It just causes eye fatigue, and they'll just click away from your email. So as boring as it might be, it's a lot better to have an email that has a white background with black text on it, because that's much easier on your eyes. And then here's another example. First of all, they're doing the white background with black text. Yay. And then if you look kind of near the bottom, you can see the call to action button, and your eyes probably went pretty much straight there because it's red. It's a big red button. And it says vote for hand in hand. So it's very clear what you're supposed to do. You're going to click that button, and you're going to go vote for this company in the competition that they're in. So this is what you want to do with your call to action. If you use a button, it's really clear for your recipients. And again, it's so eye-catching, they're going to want to go and click on that and do whatever you're telling them. The other thing to keep in mind with buttons is that if somebody is using a mobile device to read your email, it's a lot easier to click on a button than on a link because the screen size is so much smaller. So your recipients will be able to do more with your email if they're looking at it on a mobile if you include a call to action button. Also, I like on the right-hand side of the email, they have all of the places that you can find them on social media. So let's talk about images for a little while. And again, I touched on this a little bit earlier, but images are really important for your email. First of all, it helps to engage your audience because they can see what you're talking about. But it also helps to break your email up into easier to read chunks because the images help break up the text portion of your email. So you want to have a balance of images in your email. The point we say here at the bottom, the 80-20 rule, 80% text versus 20% images. Now that's not like a law, and we're not measuring your email. So feel free to change it up as you need to. You know, maybe you're an art gallery and you have an opening. You're probably going to need more images than 20%. So, you know, maybe 60-40, whatever works for you. But you want to be thinking about how your audience is going to be viewing your email and interacting with your email when you're placing images in it. So not everybody has high-speed internet connections, so they can't download huge images quickly or a lot of images quickly. So think about that. So you want to use small images. Generally, and I'm sure somebody's typing this right now, what I mean by a small image is usually around 200 pixels wide if you're including that within the body of the email where text is wrapping around it. You know, it could go a little bit bigger, but you don't want a really wide email, so you can't have really huge images. Plus, having a balance of text and images if the images are being blocked by an email program, which we're going to talk about in a couple minutes, then they still can read the text that you're including in the email. Always link your images. Most people, maybe not everyone, but most people know that they can click on an image to go somewhere, so let them. link your image to wherever they need to be sent when they're clicking on the image. And our system's going to tell you if they're clicking on an image or they're clicking on a text link in your email. So you're going to know where people are clicking to get to your website. And then always add alt text. Alt text is a really interesting thing. It's basically added to the back end of the image. So when your recipients get your email, if they can see the images already, they're never going to see your alt text. But if their email program blocks images, which pretty much all of them do by default these days, then what your recipients will see instead of a broken image icon is whatever you put in the alt text. When you're using our system, when you go to insert your image, you click on the little image icon in the toolbar, and you get that properties window that comes up. Alt text is the very last one. So think about what people are going to see there. You could call it whatever your image is, or you could do something like click here for more great sales information. And it might be a little more information that will tempt your recipients to go to your website, or at the very least turn your images on. So alt text is a really important thing to remember when you're putting your images in your emails. So here is an email that is a good example of a balance of text and images. So if you take a look at this email, the images are the logo at the top, that little bit of grass in that green bar, and then the planters. And that's it. Everything else in this email is text. So if somebody receives this email and the images are being blocked, they still know what's going on in the email. Also, it's not really long. It's a very specific email about the sale on these planters. So whoever gets this email knows exactly what's going on. They don't get lost anywhere. They're also attending an event, and they have that highlighted at the top. And then they have limited offer in red, which is okay. It's fine to add a little bit of color like that to your text. You don't want all of your text to be in red because it'll be hard to read, but a little bit certainly adds some pop. And then they just talk about what it is that they're offering, and then they have some links. The other important thing is at the bottom right, all their contact information, again, is text. So even if somebody loads this email without the images, all the contact information is still there. So the recipients can get to their website, they can call them, they can email them, whatever they need to do. It's all still there. So somebody one time asked, what does it look like without the images? So if you look in the bottom right-hand corner, this is a screenshot of the same email that we just looked at with the images being blocked. So the one thing I would change on this is the alt text, and it says green form header 3. I would probably call that, since it's the company logo, I'd probably just call it either the website for the company or just the company name. But then you can see all the same information that I just talked about is still there, all in the text. So you can still see all the important information, you can see the event they're going to, and you can still contact them. The screenshot in the top left-hand corner is from Banana Republic, who does a lot with their alt text. So all of the text that you see here is actually alt text because it's representing images that are being blocked. Since the emails that they create are just images, which we would not encourage you to do, that can cause some delivery issues and also problems if you don't include alt text for your recipients. But because they know what email programs do with images being blocked, they write sentences in their alt text. So everything you see there, the 3-hour lunch break today only, it has the time and date, 40% off select styles, online only, they have a promo code. All of that text is alt text for an image that wasn't loaded. So they're definitely trying to convey the same information to their recipients through the alt text if the images are being blocked. So speaking of blocked images, as I said, you don't want to include your email or create an email where it's just images, and this is why. You don't want your recipients to see the first line of text in your email as the unsubscribe link. It's terrible. You spend so much time growing your mailing list and creating your great emails. The last thing you really want to do is to drive your recipients to unsubscribe the first time you send out an email. The other thing about this email is that there's no alt text. So you're just seeing the broken image icon. So if there had been at least some alt text in there, I might want to turn on the images and find out what what's going on in the email. But since I have no idea what this is supposed to be, I may not want to turn the images on, especially if this is somebody that I've recently signed up with and I'm not familiar with what their emails are like. So you want to avoid doing this to try to keep your recipients from unsubscribing right away. And as I said, it can also be a problem with delivery if you include just images. A lot of spam filters look for emails that are just 1 or 2 images because spammers tend to do that. So to avoid just sending your email directly to the spam folder, make sure you have a balance of text and images. So when you're designing your email, there's a couple other things to keep in mind. We're going to talk about branding. We're going to talk some more about the preview pane and the text version. So this is an example of consistent branding. This company is Classic Car Wines. You can see in their logo in the top left-hand corner, it's a classic car. They have it on their wine label. They have it in their picture. When you click on the links and go to the website, it all ties in with this. You see the same red car. You also see the same logo as well. You want to have the same branding that you use in your website on your email as well, so that when your recipients open your email, they know who it is because they're familiar with whatever you have on your website. That's probably where they signed up. And they also know that they've opened the right email when they take a look at that. So the preview pane, as I mentioned, this is the way quite a few people will look at the email. If they're using Outlook or Mail, they have this preview pane. So if you take a look at the image on the left-hand side, you can see it says email etiquette, reminding recipients where you met them, even in one-on-one email. Sorry, I couldn't read that. And that's also what the subject line says. So the important piece of information in this email is at the very top. And if you look on the right-hand side, you can see the table of contents. Because again, this is all the recipient is going to see until they start scrolling. So this is the important piece of your email. This is the most important area of your email. So you need to include whatever the important information is here. If there's more information that you want them to see further down in your email, that's where the table of contents will come in. And then this is a nice example of a couple of things that we've talked about. It's also very good at branding. It matches their website. And again, they've broken this up into easy to read chunks. They have different classes, so those are set up in different sections with a line break going across for each of them. There's just a small amount of text so that you don't have to spend all day reading what the class is about. It's not really image heavy. There's just a couple of images in here. And then they have links. The headline is a link, and then you can link to the website from where it says open house. So they have lots of good things that are going on here, and the call to action is pretty clear for each of the sections. And then the text version. So we've primarily been talking about the graphical version of the email today. But for all of the HTML that you're creating for your email, our system automatically makes a text backup for you. It is something that you have to have for sending your emails. If you don't have a text backup to your email will probably go to the spam folder because, again, it's something spam filters are looking for. But one of the things that I would suggest is to make sure before you send your email out that you go through and edit your text version so that it's easy to read. It needs to be, again, short paragraphs just like in the graphical version and have a link. But you don't want to have a bunch of links stacked up on each other in the text version because it's hard to click on. And that's one thing that you might need to go in and edit. So when you're creating your email on the design step, whether you're using the Wizard, Canvas, or Freeform, you can go in and edit the text backup. And as more people are reading their emails on mobile phones, there are more people getting the text version than used to get it. But generally speaking, it's people who have older email clients, or maybe they work at a sensitive place that has a sensitive domain like a government office or a financial institution. They have a tendency to get just plain text emails rather than the graphical version. So for every email that you send out, we're going to give you reporting information. We're going to tell you who's opening your email, who's clicking on links, and not only who's clicking on links, but you can see what links people are clicking on in your email. And so you can see what parts they're engaging more in your email, what they're interested in. Again, we'll tell you if they're clicking on an image or not. So if you have a call to action button in there, you'll know if they're clicking on that. And these are some of the reporting tools that we have. This is a screenshot from inside the account. So you can see the links that are being tracked. You can also do your own comparisons. We give you the option of selecting specific emails to compare, and you can see what the open rates are and what the click-through rates are. So you can see how successful your email marketing is. And the thing about email marketing is that it's always going to be different. So if you're testing something, you'll be able to see what's working and what isn't working. You can see when people are opening your email, which might be useful for when you're going to send it out. So you're always going to be learning from your emails every time you send something out. So to wrap this up, we're almost done. So emails and newsletters help to build relationships, and relationships is really what your email marketing is important for, because that's how people are going to want to interact with your company and make purchases or use the services that you provide. Best practices for emails are not all about selling. Now, you can certainly sell things or ask for donations or whatever it is that you need to do for your company or organization, but including other information in the email that's useful content for your recipient will help keep them engaged in what you're sending. Make sure that your email represents your brand so people know exactly what it is that they're going to be getting when they open the email. Always think about what your audience is going to see. So keep in mind, you don't want to use huge images or too many images. Give them lots of links. And as I said, learn from every email that you send out, because they'll teach you how your recipients are interacting and what they like. So these are some resources for you. Our help site has videos which are like 2 minutes long. They're not as long as the webinar today. And also text tutorials to help you. So as you're creating your email and you're putting images in, you can watch a video on how to do that, or read a text tutorial, or how to do links, or even how to use our button builder. There's information on our help site for all of that. We have the VR Marketing Lounge, which is basically a forum for people using our system. And you can go and talk to the other people there, post questions, and they'll give you information. And you can also see past questions there as well. There's about 10,000 people in the lounge, so there's lots of people there to help you out. Our blog is chock full of information. We usually have 2 to 3 new blog posts every week. And if you look on the right-hand side, there's links that break down the different blog posts to things like email marketing, analytics, lists, things like that. So if you're looking for specific information, it's pretty easy to find there. Once you get started, if you have a question, you can always contact our support team. You can send an email at support@verticalresponse.com, or you can give us a call. And if you're in your account, there's also a link you can click on for a live chat. I mentioned call to action buttons, and that is the URL for our button site, buttons.verticalresponse.com. It is free to use, and you basically get to write whatever text you want on the button, as well as pick your background color and your font color. And we also have tons of guides on our website, and again, they're free, so I would encourage you to go there. The easiest way to get there is to go to our website, verticalresponse.com, and then click on resources, and you'll see where the guides are. And we have guides on getting started with emails, as well as some really specific information about events and social media and specific pieces of your email as well.